The alien classroom floated high above the red jungles of planet Jarnock 7. The room had no walls, just force fields and glowing blue lights. Screens hovered in the air. Strange creatures sat in floating chairs, their eyes focused on the holograms. In front of them, each student in the class was from a different part of the galaxy. Some had wings, some had tails, others had tentacles or hard shells. But all of them were elite young minds, future scientists, soldiers, and explorers. At the center of the class stood Instructor Vrolak, a tall, dark-skinned alien with glowing veins across his head. He waved his hand, and a large hologram appeared. Striped orange beast filled the air, powerful, fast, with sharp eyes and sharp teeth. "This," Vrolak said in a deep voice, "is called a tiger. It is from planet Earth, one of their top predators." A pause, then a few chuckles. An alien student named Zorek leaned forward. His skin was green and slimy, and his 4 eyes blinked one at a time. That little thing, that's what humans fear." More laughter followed. "Looks like a pet," said Farnell, a 6-legged female from the ice planet Kolta. "I could catch it with one hand." Even Instructor Vrolak smiled. "Yes, it may look small. Compared to the Varnock beast of our world, this tiger seems weak, but remember, on Earth it ruled its jungles." The laughter didn't stop. Some students played with the hologram, making it chase its own tail. Only one student didn't laugh. Her name was Nia, and she was human. She sat at the back of the class, quiet, still, no smile. Her eyes were locked on the tiger hologram, not in fear, but in memory. Vrolak noticed her silence. "Earthborn," he said, "you disagree?" Nia stood slowly. She was young, maybe 17, with short black hair and a calm face. She didn't look dangerous. She didn't wear armor or tools like the others. "I don't disagree," she said in simple words. "I just think you haven't seen what a tiger can really do." The room fell silent. The students stared at her. Zorek laughed again. "You think this house cat can beat the Varnock?" Nia looked at him. Her voice was soft but steady. "I think the Varnock has never met a tiger." Vrolak raised an eyebrow. "Interesting words. Lucky for you, students, you'll get a chance to see both up close." Everyone sat up straighter. "This year's final test," Vrolak continued, "will be a live field mission. You will go into the red jungle. You will track, observe, and report on a predator of your choice." Gasps filled the room. "The jungle," someone whispered. "Isn't that where the Varnock lives?" another said. Vrolak nodded. "Yes, that is where the apex lives. The choice is yours. Observe smaller beasts or follow the Varnock." Eyes turned to Nia. She didn't react, but she already knew what she would do. The next day, the students gathered on the launch deck. Each one wore high-tech suits loaded with scanners, weapons, and flight boosters. Nia wore a simple gray outfit. No armor, no helmet, just a small backpack. Zorek pointed at her. "Forgot your gear, Earthborn?" "No," she said. Farnell smirked. "Do you even know how to track?" "I do," Nia answered. She opened her pack and pulled out a small metal box. She opened it. Inside was a cloth soaked in tiger scent, real tiger scent. She'd kept it for years, a memory from Earth. "You're going to call a tiger?" Zorek asked, laughing harder. "On this planet?" Nia said nothing. The students entered their pods. One by one, they launched down to the red jungle. The jungle was thick. Red leaves hung low. The air smelled sweet but strange. It was always dusk here. Sunlight never broke fully through the clouds. The students spread out. Drones floated beside them. Sensors scanned every shadow. Eyes were wide. Fingers rested on trigger buttons. Only Nia walked calmly, with no weapons, no scanner. Just her pack and her eyes. Hours passed. Farnell's team found small lizard beasts and took notes. Zorek chased a flying snake. Another group followed claw prints they thought belonged to the Varnock. Suddenly, static. One student signal vanished, then another, and another. Screams echoed over the comms, fast, sharp, terrified. "Something's here," a student cried. "Not the Varnock. It's different." Vrolak's voice came over the comms. "All teams retreat to safe zone immediately." But not Nia. She was sitting on a stone, calm, the scent box open beside her. She waited. Leaves rustled, a low growl filled the air. Then it appeared, a tiger, real, alive, on an alien world. It stepped out of the shadows. Its body was long and strong, its eyes locked on hers. It did not attack. It walked slowly toward her and sat down beside her like an old friend. Nia smiled. "You made it." Meanwhile, Zorek was running. His team was gone, dragged away, their weapons useless. He heard a roar, not the Varnock's roar. This one was deeper, earthborn. Suddenly, he saw it. The tiger. It wasn't hunting him. It was hunting something else, something bigger. From the trees behind it, a massive shadow moved. It was the Varnock, black skin, sharp legs, eyes like cold lights. It was twice the size of the tiger. Zorek froze. The Varnock screamed and charged. The tiger didn't run. It leaped, claws out, teeth bared, straight at the monster. The jungle exploded with sound. Zorek fell to the ground. He watched the two beasts vanish into the trees fighting. Back at the safe zone, Instructor Vrolak stared at the screen. "What? What is that?" he whispered. Beside him a camera drone hovered, showing the footage clearly. A tiger, on Jarnock 7, chasing the Varnock. Students were gathered now, shaken, blood on their suits, silence in their mouths. Only one walked in calmly, Nia. The tiger was behind her, breathing slow, eyes watching. Farnell pointed. "That's the same animal from Earth." Zorek stepped forward. It fought the Varnock." Vrolak looked at Nia. "How did it get here?" She shrugged. "It followed me." "But why? How?" Nia sat down. "A long time ago I helped one. It remembers." The students were silent now. No more jokes, no more laughs, only fear and respect. Vrolak spoke last. "You said we hadn't seen what a tiger could do." Nia nodded. "Now you've seen just a glimpse." She looked out into the jungle. The real hunt has just begun. The sun never truly rose over the red jungle of Jarnock 7. Instead, the sky glowed in a dull red haze, as if fire always hung in the clouds. Mist moved low through the trees. The air was hot, sticky, and full of noise. Unknown creatures howled in the distance. Branches creaked like bones. Nia stood at the edge of the drop zone with her tiger beside her. The other students stared at the animal like it was a ghost. It was tall. Muscles rippled under its orange fur. Its yellow eyes glowed, but not with anger. It was calm, still, like Nia. Instructor Vrolak had said nothing since they landed. He simply pointed to the scanners and told the class, "Your mission continues. Track, observe, survive. If you see the Varnock, do not engage." The students nodded. They spread out into the jungle, but none took their eyes off the tiger as they passed. Zorek led his team through thick vines. His scanner beeped softly. "North 1.4 clicks," he said. "Heat signature, large, moving fast." He gripped his plasma rifle tighter. "It's probably the Varnock." His teammate Lyron asked, "What about the tiger?" Zorek shook his head. "It shouldn't be here. If it gets in the way, shoot it." Elsewhere, Nia walked barefoot through mud and fallen leaves. The tiger moved beside her without a sound. It was like a shadow. She spoke softly, not to the others, but to the tiger. "You smell it, don't you?" The tiger's ears twitched. They weren't hunting the Varnock. Not yet. They were tracking something else. Farnell's team found claw marks on a tree. Each cut was deep and burned around the edges. "This was no normal animal," she said. "The Varnock?" "No," said her drone operator. "These marks are too wide." Just then, something moved in the trees above them. Fast. Heavy. They pointed. Their weapons, but saw nothing. A low growl echoed far off but deep. Farnell felt her fur rise. "Let's keep moving," she said, and no loud noises. 3 kilometers away, the jungle went silent. Zorek stopped walking. Liren looked at him. "Why did you—" Zorek held up a hand. "Shh! No birds, no wind, no sound, only the trees breathing." Then, a roar. Not like before. This was a scream, made of anger and pain. It came from far ahead, but shook the leaves above them. Zorek's scanner beeped wildly. "Target's close, 400 meters. He turned to his squad. Drones up, weapons hot. They rushed forward. Nia crouched by a stream, her hand brushing over soft red moss. The tiger sat behind her, its tail flicking. She dipped her fingers into the water and placed the cloth, the tiger-scented cloth, into it, letting it flow downstream. She didn't need to chase anything. She knew the jungle would bring it to her. Zorek and his squad found blood. Lot of it, pooled near a tree that looked like it had exploded from the inside. Bits of bone were stuck in the bark, but not alien bones. Metal. His drone hovered closer and scanned the remains. "Student drone destroyed," the machine said. "Organic traces. Varnock's saliva, but secondary traces. Unknown." Zorek stepped back. Something fought the Varnock. Then the trees behind them rustled. Liron turned, eyes wide. But it wasn't the Varnock. It was the tiger. It stepped out slowly, its body low, eyes calm. No sound, no growl, just presence. Zorek raised his rifle. "Don't!" shouted Liron. It didn't attack, but it didn't stay either. The tiger looked at them once, then turned its head and sprinted into the trees. "Follow." "It," Zorek ordered. Farnell's team heard the same roar. This one was closer, louder. She turned to her drone operator. "Distance? 100 meters. But there's another signal now, moving fast, closing in." Suddenly, trees crashed ahead, and there it was, the Varnock, 10 feet tall, black, 6 legs, covered in glowing red plates. Its mouth dripped with acid. Its head turned slowly. It saw them. Farnell didn't wait. "Fire, now." Blasts filled the air. Plasma bolts struck the Varnock's shell, but did nothing. The Varnock charged. Drones scattered. One student screamed as it lunged. Then, a blur from the side, orange and black. The tiger leapt out of nowhere, claws first, straight into the Varnock's eye. The Varnock screamed, a real scream, the first they had ever heard from it. The tiger's teeth sank deep, its body twisted mid-air, dodging acid spit and claw swipes. The jungle shook. Students ran. Some watched. Farnell stood frozen. "It's fighting the Varnock," she whispered. No, one believed it until they saw the Varnock bleed. At the command tent, Vrolak's screen went red with alerts. Multiple student teams under attack, the AI said. He watched in disbelief. 2 beasts, Earth and alien, locked in combat, and the Earth beast was winning. "Nia," he whispered. Nia stood alone at the edge of a cliff. The jungle stretched wide below. She could hear the fight in the distance. She closed her eyes. "They're testing each other," she said. She wasn't worried. She knew the tiger wouldn't lose. She had seen what tigers could do when they're not in cages. Back in the trees, Zorek ran through the smoke and broken vines. He followed the trail of destruction, snapped trunks, deep claw marks, spilled acid. Then he found the Varnock again, bleeding, panting, and alone, no tiger in sight. But then, it looked up, and it ran. It didn't attack. It fled. Zorek watched in shock. He whispered, The apex predator is running. Later that night, the students regrouped at the temporary base in the jungle. Farnell had wounds. Zorek's drone was broken. 2 students were missing. Everyone was silent, except Nia. She sat beside the fire. The tiger rested behind her, its eyes glowing gently. Zorek walked up slowly. "You knew this would happen." Nia didn't look at him. "I knew you didn't understand what a tiger really is." Farnell stepped forward too. "That thing, our worst nightmare, it ran from your animal." Nia nodded. "Because tigers don't hunt for sport. They hunt to survive. And when they fight, they don't stop." Zorek shook his head. "But this is an alien world. It doesn't belong here." Nia finally turned to him. "Neither do I. But I adapted. So did it." Farnell looked around. "What happens now?" Nia stared into the jungle. "We're not the hunters anymore." The tiger stood up, its ears twitched. Nia followed its gaze. Something else was out there, something bigger, something watching. Night fell over the jungle of Jarnock 7, but darkness never brought silence. The sky pulsed red behind the clouds. Strange birds screamed in the distance. Insects with glowing wings flew low near the trees. The camp was quiet. Too quiet. 20 students had landed. Now only 13 remained, and 2 of them were still missing. Zorek stared at the blinking dot on his scanner. It had once shown all student signals clearly. Now it flickered like a dying light. One of the dots, the one labeled Vrin 42, was there. Then gone. Then back. Something was blocking the signal. Or something was playing with it. Nia sat outside the tent with the tiger curled beside her. Its breathing was steady, calm. She didn't sleep. She was listening. The jungle whispered things others didn't hear. She opened her eyes slowly. The tiger was already looking in the same direction she was, east, toward the river. That's where the signals had vanished. Nia stood. She didn't speak. She didn't wake the others. She just walked into the dark. The tiger followed, silent as the wind. Back in the command tent, Instructor Vrolak was growing restless. The Varnock was supposed to be the top predator on this planet. It wasn't just a test. It was a warning. The jungle was not meant to be beaten. And yet, Earth's tiger had already done the impossible, and Nia, she was becoming a mystery. "No armor, no gun," he muttered. "But she walks like she owns this world." He opened the student files. Nia's file had something unusual. Redacted sections, missing background. Even her tiger had no Earth registration. "Code." Vrolak stared at the screen, confused. "Who sent you here, human?" Deep in the jungle, Zorek and Farnell followed the faint signal trail. They moved slowly. Even though their scanners still worked, they trusted their ears more now. Every crack of a branch, every buzz of a bug, every shift of wind made them stop. Farnell whispered, "This place is changing." Zorek nodded. "It's reacting." "Reacting to what?" Before he could answer, his scanner beeped sharply. "Signal," he said. "Vrin 42, she's moving again." They rushed through the trees, pushing vines aside, jumping over roots. Then they stopped. The signal was right in front of them, but the space was empty. Only a broken helmet lay on the ground. No blood, no body, just the helmet and a trail of claw marks leading away. Zorek bent down to pick it up. Suddenly his hand shook. The helmet was warm. Nia knelt by the river. The tiger crouched beside her, staring at the water. She saw it too. Something had crossed here recently. Deep footprints. Claw marks, not the Varnock. Something bigger. The water was red in some places, but not from blood, from spores. A rare plant on Jarnock 7 used red spores to mark territory. The problem was, this plant didn't grow near rivers. Not naturally. Nia looked up at the trees. Dozens of them were dead, stripped clean. The jungle wasn't just hiding something, it was being cleared. Back at camp, Lyron sat beside the fire, staring into the smoke. He held a small device in his hand, a private tracker. It was tuned to his twin sister's signal. Vryn 42, the same one that kept blinking in and out. He had begged her not to go into the jungle alone, but she had followed Nia's path anyway. He looked up. The trees around the camp were still, too still. Then he heard it, crunch, crunch, footsteps, heavy ones. He stood quickly and pointed his light toward the sound. Nothing. Then, from the shadows, a shape moved. But it wasn't the Varnock. It was taller, thinner, and it had no face, just smooth black skin and long arms. Then it vanished. Lyron dropped the light. Farnell scanned the broken trees ahead. "Zorek," she whispered. "Are we sure the Varnock is the only thing hunting us?" Zorek shook his head slowly. "I don't think it is anymore." His drone hovered closer to a half-crushed tree. Suddenly the drone's feed cut out, then the drone dropped from the air and smashed against the ground. Its core melted. Farnell stepped back in fear. That wasn't Varnock damage, it was surgical, precise. Something. Smart had taken it down. "Back to camp," Zorek said quickly. "Now." They turned, then froze. The path they had come from was gone. The jungle had shifted. The trees had moved. Nia stepped deeper into the ruins near the river. Yes, ruins. Hidden under vines and moss, she saw stones cut into shapes. Walls. Steps. Old. Very old. The tiger growled low. Nia touched a stone that had a handprint carved into it, but it wasn't a human hand or alien. It was a mix. 5 fingers but claws at the end. She knelt and wiped more dust away. Underneath she saw symbols, ancient warnings. The one in the middle had a shape with 6 legs and a broken head, a predator, chained, and something written below in broken trade common, buried, but not dead. Zorek and Farnell moved fast now, but the jungle didn't want them to leave. Branches blocked their path. Their scanners spun with static. Something large followed them, but it never showed itself. Farnell slipped and fell. Zorek pulled her up and then stopped. A faint light glowed ahead. Camp? They ran toward it. But when they arrived, it wasn't the camp. It was a clearing, and in the center, a pile of helmets, student helmets. Farnell gasped. Each one had a mark carved into it, a single slash, like a warning. Then a growl echoed through the trees, not from one mouth, but many. Back at camp, Lyron waited by the fire with his weapon in hand. The others were sleeping, or pretending to. Then the tiger returned. Alone. It walked calmly into the camp and sat beside the fire. Nia appeared moments later, stepping from the shadows. Lyron stood. "You found something?" "Yes," she said. "What?" She looked at him. "There are things here older than your Varnock. Things that should have stayed buried." He didn't understand. Then the tiger stood. Its fur stood up. Its tail went stiff. Everyone in camp heard it. A sound from all directions at once. Not a roar. Not a scream. A whisper. Words. But not in any known language. Still, everyone felt what it meant. It has awakened. Far in the jungle, beneath the roots of a dead tree, something opened its eyes. Eyes that hadn't seen light in 1,000 years. It remembered the chains. It remembered the pain. And it remembered its revenge was not yet finished. The night was no longer calm. Something had changed in the jungle. Leaves shook even when the wind was still. Shadows moved where no creatures stood, and every living thing was quiet, not silent out of rest, silent out of fear. In the camp, Lyron stared into the trees. His hand trembled on his weapon. No student spoke. No one moved. The tiger sat near the fire, eyes glowing, body tense. Beside it stood Naya. She didn't blink, didn't look scared, only focused. She whispered, "It's not just a predator. It's a prisoner." Lyron frowned. "What do you mean?" Naya turned her head slightly. "Something built to kill long ago and someone locked it away." "And now?" Lyron asked. Nia's voice was cold. "Now it's free." Farnell and Zorek stood in the clearing of helmets, frozen. Zorek counted them. "There are more helmets than students missing." Farnell's voice was soft. "Then they've been here before." Gust of wind passed through. It carried a smell, burnt metal and ash. Then something stepped into the clearing behind them, not a roar, not a growl, just a presence. Zorek turned slowly and saw it. The shape. It was tall, too tall, black skin like stone, arms long and sharp at the ends, no mouth, no eyes, but it saw them. He raised his weapon. The creature didn't move, it didn't need to. The helmet in Zorek's hand melted. He dropped it, yelling in pain. Farnell fired. Her blaster. The beam hit the creature's chest. It didn't even flinch. The beam bent and vanished. The creature tilted its head, almost curious, then stepped forward. Zorek shouted, "Run!" They didn't argue. They ran. But the jungle was not kind anymore. Roots reached up to trip them. Trees bent to block their path. The jungle had chosen a side, and it wasn't theirs. Instructor Vrolak watched the camp from his ship's high orbit. He saw the bioscans coming in. They made no sense. Heat spikes, magnetic fields turning upside down. Tree, life signatures blinking out, entire areas going dead like lights switched off. "This isn't just a predator," he whispered. He opened a secure file from the council, one that was never supposed to be shown to students. He read the title aloud. The Silent Apex Project. Status buried. His hands shook. It had a symbol beside it, a red triangle. Clawed. Warning from before the council was formed. He sent an urgent message. Pull the students out. Now. But it was already too late. The jungle cut off all signals. Naya walked into the darkness again. The tiger stayed by her side. Lyron followed this. Time. Not out of courage, but because being alone now felt worse than any danger. "Where are we going?" he asked. "To the heart," she said. "The heart of what?" "The jungle's memory." She didn't explain. They walked over cracked stones, past trees with clawed scars. The deeper they went, the older the land felt. It smelled of dust and blood. Finally, they reached a stone gate half buried under vines. It had hand marks across it, scratches like someone had tried to claw their way in. Not out. Nia placed her palm against it. It glowed faintly. The gate opened. Zorek and Farnell found a cave and slid inside. The creature did not follow. Yet. Inside the cave, old markings lined the walls. Zorek pulled a light from his belt and scanned them. "They're warnings," he said. Farnell leaned closer. "Can you read them?" "Bits. Looks like the creature we saw was made." "Made?" He nodded. "Built. For war. Not born." She backed up. "Built by who?" Zorek didn't answer right away. He reached a part of the wall that showed 3 figures. One looked like the creature. The second was a Varnock. The third was a human. Farnell pointed. "That's not possible. This is older than Earth's space age," Zorek whispered. "Then maybe humans have been here before." Nia and Lyron stepped into the chamber beyond the gate. It was round, high-roofed, filled with carvings. One stood out. The same faceless creature they'd seen, chains around its limbs, symbols of fire and silence beside it. In the center of the room sat a strange device, like a broken heart made of stone and wires. The tiger growled, low. Naya stepped to the device. She touched it. It pulsed. A voice spoke, deep and strange. "The apex is awake. Containment failed." Lyron jumped. "What is that?" Nia didn't answer him. she asked the voice. "Who made it?" The voice answered, "We did. Then we died." Back in the forest, the students at the camp saw lights in the sky, but they weren't ships. They were glowing orbs rising from the trees. One floated near a student. He reached out to touch it and collapsed, eyes open, body frozen, heart still beating, but brain silent. The others screamed. The orbs vanished. The tiger roared in the distance. Then Nia's voice came through a small communicator one student still had. "Leave the camp. Get to high ground. Do not follow light. And do not fight it." Zorek and Farnell exited the cave and heard movement above. They looked up. Branches cracked. The creature stood on a tree like a ghost, watching, still not chasing, just waiting. Then it did something new. It crouched, touched the ground, and the ground shifted. Trees moved aside. Rocks rolled away. A straight path opened between them and the camp, as if inviting them. Farnell whispered, "It's not hunting." Zorek nodded. "It's testing." "Testing what?" Zorek swallowed. "Us." Nia turned to Liron in the chamber. "I know what it wants," she said. "What?" "It wants to finish. The test it started centuries ago. It's not angry, it's patient." "Why us?" "Because it remembers humans." Liron stared. "That's impossible." She looked at him. "I was sent here for this. My tiger was trained for this. Earth didn't send a student." She stepped closer. They sent a response. Far below the ground, the creature stood before an old mirror in the roots. It saw its shape, then saw something else behind it. Another shape. Smaller. 4 limbs, eyes glowing like stars. It remembered that shape. From long ago. A warrior. The last time it was wounded, not killed, but scarred. It tilted its head. It remembered the pain and the fury. Now it knew. The shape had returned. And this time, it would not hold back. The jungle was no longer wild. It was alive, and it had made a choice. Branches moved before footsteps. Vines shifted like snakes. Even the wind whispered through the leaves. Not random, not soft, but like it carried a warning. The students who didn't listen were the first to vanish. Some ran toward the lights, some climbed trees for better views. They thought it was just a game, a training test. But this wasn't a test anymore. It was survival. Nia walked between 2 broken statues covered in moss. Liron followed closely behind her. The tiger walked ahead, always silent. Around them, the jungle cleared the way. No trees blocked them. No animals made a sound. "It's like it knows you," Liron whispered. Nia didn't look back. "It remembers us." "Us?" Liron asked. Nia stopped. She pointed to a tree with a deep scratch in it, 3 claw marks long healed over with. "Bark. My great-grandmother was here." Liron stared. She never spoke about it, only left her logs. She wasn't a soldier. She was a keeper. A keeper of what? Nia turned. Secrets. Earth sent her here to bury one. Zorek and Farnell made it back to the edge of the camp. It was a mess. Tents were torn, supplies scattered, students missing, but no blood, no bodies, just silence. A few scared students remained, hiding in shelters, eyes wide with terror. "What happened?" Zorek asked. A student pointed to the sky. "The lights. They came down. They touched the others and they stopped moving." Farnell looked at the forest. "Where did the lights go?" No one answered. Zorek checked his scanner. He frowned. "What is it?" she asked. "Everything's dead. The forest, animals, plants, like someone turned the life off." "But not us," Farnell said. Zorek nodded. "No, because we're being watched." High above, on the branches, the apex crouched. Its body shimmered, sometimes solid, sometimes like smoke. It was no longer just a creature. It was becoming Something else. The jungle fed it, the fear fed it, and the presence of her, the one walking with the tiger, was pulling out something it hadn't felt in centuries. Memory. Naya stood at the base of an ancient tree, the tallest in the forest. Its roots were larger than houses, carvings were all over it. Symbols from languages long gone. She placed her hand on one, the ground shook. From under the tree, a hidden stone lifted. It was a vault. Lyrun stepped back. "What's in there?" She looked at him. The first time Earth met the apex. She opened. It inside was a blade, rusted but not broken, and a recording orb. She turned it on. A voice played. Old. Human. I was the first to face it. I didn't kill it. I caged it. If you hear this, it's loose, and the jungle has remembered. The message ended. Lyrun's face turned pale. Why would they cage it here? Naya answered. Because Earth never wanted it to die. Just sleep. It wasn't always a monster. Farnell moved with the students toward a rocky hill. Zorek led. They wanted high ground, safety. The jungle made no sound, no birds, no insects, only their footsteps. But every time they looked back, the trees seemed closer, like they were watching. Then, they heard a noise, screaming, from deep inside the jungle. It was quick, then gone. Farnell turned. That wasn't one of ours. Zorek agreed. The sound wasn't fear, it was pain. Whatever the apex had found. It was fighting back now. Naya and Liron reached a waterfall. Behind it was another hidden place. The tiger stepped through first, then Naya. Liron hesitated, then followed. Behind the falls was a cave lit by glowing stones. On the wall, more carvings, humans, aliens, and... The apex Nia pointed to one carving, a woman holding the same blade Nia now carried, facing the apex, standing still. No fight, just eye contact. What is this place? Liron asked. It's the story the galaxy buried. She looked at the carving. She didn't beat it with power. She beat it with something else. Liron whispered. What? Naya looked up. With choice. The apex crouched near the abandoned camp. It didn't attack. It listened. Then walked slowly past the tents. It stopped at a tent with a child's drawing on the canvas, a picture of Earth, and a tiger. The apex tilted. Its head, its body shimmered. Then for just a second, it became still, as if remembering the picture, remembering her. Then it looked toward the mountains. It knew where she was. Zorek set up defenses at the hilltop, energy barriers, sensor spikes. They wouldn't stop the apex, but they might buy time. Farnell looked at the students. Stick together. Watch the skies. Zorek pulled her aside. We're not getting out unless someone shuts it down. Farnell nodded, then pointed to the forest. Do you trust her? Zorek looked at the glowing trees, far below, and the shape of a tiger moving through them. I don't know who she is, but I believe she does. Nia climbed the mountain path. The tiger led the way. Each step brought wind, dust, and glowing eyes watching from the dark. But none attacked. None came close. The jungle knew her. Lyrun stayed close behind. We're going to the top? Yes, she said. Why? She stopped. Because from the top, it can see me. That night, under the stars, the apex stood on the forest floor. It looked up, and there she was. Naya, standing tall, the blade in her hand, the tiger by her side, eyes locked. No movement, no words, just a moment of memory. It tilted its head again. Slowly, the jungle went silent, and then the apex knelt. The apex knelt in the forest. Its long arms rested on the ground, its head lowered. Every sensor from orbit went dead. Satellites blinked offline. The jungle held its breath. From the mountaintop, Nia stared down. She didn't move. She didn't speak. But in her hand, the blade pulsed, softly glowing, alive. Lyron stood behind her, frozen. "Why is it bowing?" he asked, voice shaking. Nia answered, calm and steady, "Because it remembers the old deal." "What deal?" She turned her eyes to the stars, the one Earth made and the galaxy chose to forget. Long ago, before alien empires rose, there was a war, not between planets, but between ideas. Some wanted power through weapons, others believed in survival through fear, and some believed in guardians. Earth was quiet in those days. New, still discovering. Space. But it did one thing no other world dared. It created something not to kill, but to watch. The apex was built to guard balance, not obey orders, not follow rulers, but listen to the wild, feel danger, and stop it. The galaxy didn't understand. So when it acted, when it punished tyrants and broke fleets, it was called a monster, and Earth made a deal. We will take it back. We will bury it. But remember, if the wild ever cries out again, it will rise. That was the deal, but over centuries, the galaxy forgot, and now it had awakened. Zorak stared at his scanner. It wasn't broken. It was wiped clean. Nothing. No life. No heat. It's like the forest died. Farnell stood beside him, or like it's hiding. They looked out from the high ridge. The jungle looked peaceful now. But everyone felt it, deep in their bones. Something huge had changed. Zorak turned to the students huddled behind the barrier. One of them whispered, "She's not one of us, is she?" Farnell shook her head. "She's something older." Down in the forest, the apex slowly rose. It didn't charge. It didn't scream. It walked, silent, steady, toward the mountain, toward her. Animals moved aside. The trees parted. The jungle no longer feared it. It welcomed it, because something worse had come. Nia led Lyron into a hidden chamber carved into the cliff. Inside, glowing crystals floated above the floor. Symbols covered the walls, old ones, Earth-made. Lyron touched one. It lit up and spoke in a recording. "The apex is not a weapon. It is a response. It only moves when it is called. If you see this, then the world has cried out." Lyron stepped back. "So who called it?" Nia turned slowly. "I think the jungle did." Farnell picked up a weak signal from the top of the hill, a scrambled message. She cleaned the audio. "Approaching anomaly. Not alone. Detected unknown entity. Origin Earth." She looked at Zorak. "They're watching from orbit again." Zorak didn't smile. "They're too late." The apex reached the base of the mountain. It stopped, then slowly knelt again. Not in fear, but in respect. Nia stepped down the path, the blade still in her hand. She stopped in front of the apex. She raised her voice, not loud but clear. "Do you remember her?" The apex didn't speak, but the wind shifted and the trees responded. A nearby tree split open, no damage, just revealing a symbol inside. A human face. Old, carved, the same as the woman from the cave drawing, the one who first faced it. Nia touched the carving. A new voice echoed. "We gave it choice. That was our gift. Not control, not power, just the chance to choose." Nia looked at the apex. "Then choose now." Farnell and Zorak saw a light rise from the jungle. It was not fire, not a weapon, but calm, soft light, like a heartbeat. Then a tremor rolled under their feet. The jungle lit up, not in flames but in color. Green, blue, gold, every tree, every leaf. "Signal." Farnell stared. "Is it surrendering?" Zorak whispered. "It's remembering." Nia sat cross-legged before the apex. The tiger lay at her side. The blade rested on the ground. The apex crouched, staring. No words, no sound. Then finally, it moved. Its hand with claws like spears reached out slowly. Not toward Nia, but toward the blade. Its fingertip touched the metal, and the blade shattered. Clean, quiet, and bright. Not broken. Released. The light from the blade rose into the air and vanished into the stars. Farnell received a new message from orbit. Earth command responding, "Do not engage. She is authorized. Stand down." Zorek looked up at the stars. So Earth knew? Farnell nodded. They never forgot. In the mountain chamber, Nia stood as the apex turned to leave. Lyron watched in silence. "Where's it going now?" he asked. Nia answered. "Back to sleep." Lyron frowned. "Just like that?" She smiled faintly. "Until it's needed again." The jungle slowly returned to normal. Birds sang. The wind moved freely. The lights faded, but something had changed forever. The students who survived would never forget what they saw, and they would never laugh at Earth's creatures again, because now they knew Earth didn't build monsters, it built guardians, and when the galaxy needed one again, the jungle would remember. The forest was quiet again. The apex had returned to its sleep. The jungle glowed softly, peaceful and alive. The surviving students gathered near the cliffs, calm but shaken. They believed it was over, that they had survived. The worst, but they were wrong, because something had followed them, and it didn't fear the jungle. It feared nothing. Up in orbit, a black ship appeared. No lights, no signal. It moved like a shadow. It had no flag, no name. But the moment it arrived, all systems went dark again. Earth's satellites flickered. Alien fleets scrambled alerts. Even the apex stirred in its sleep, twitching once, like it sensed a storm coming. On the ground, Nia felt it too. She looked to the sky. The jungle is scared. Lyron stepped beside her. Scared of what? Nia didn't answer, because she didn't know yet. But something unnatural was coming. Something not born from this galaxy. Farnell and Zorek watched the ship enter the atmosphere. It didn't burn, it didn't slow. It just descended, like gravity. "Didn't matter," Farnell whispered. "That's not a rescue ship." Zorek pulled up a file from Earth's oldest warnings. He found a match. One word. Nullborn. Not a race, not even life. A weapon from the edge of known space. Built only for one thing, erasing. Natural life, not hunting, not conquering, deleting. The students didn't understand at first. They laughed when they saw the ship land on a black plateau. No doors opened, no noise, just a humming, so low it shook the bones. Then they saw the figures, tall, smooth, grey as stone, no faces, no eyes, just walking forward in silence. Where they stepped, the ground died. Plants turned to ash, even the light dimmed, and behind them, the jungle retreated. Nia stepped toward the edge of the forest. The tiger growled. It didn't like these new visitors. Not. Even the apex had scared it, but this was different. Lyron stared at the nullborn and whispered, "They don't move like animals." "They aren't," Nia replied. "There's something worse." The jungle tried to resist. Vines moved to block their path. Branches fell like walls, but the nullborn didn't fight back. They just kept walking, and everything in their path withered. Trees turned to dust, birds dropped mid-flight, even insects vanished. One step, 1 second, gone. Nia's eyes widened. They're undoing life itself. From deep underground, the apex woke. It rose without sound, but the air grew heavy. The jungle shivered. The students felt the change instantly. Some ran. Some fell to their knees. Zorek stood still, staring. "It's coming back." Farnell looked toward the black plateau. "It has to." The apex burst from the trees faster than before. No shimmer this time. No mystery. It was pure form now. Taller, sharper, darker. It roared for the first time. The sound broke branches miles away. But the Nullborn didn't flinch. They turned, slowly, and stared without eyes. Then one of them raised its hand. It pointed at the apex, and the ground beneath it crumbled. The jungle screamed, animals ran, but the apex stood firm. It leapt, straight, into the Nullborn line. The fight didn't look real. It was too fast. The apex moved like wind, claws tearing, limbs striking, but each Nullborn it touched reformed. They bent, cracked, melted, then stood again. Lyran watched, stunned. It can't kill them. Nia clenched her fists. No, because they aren't alive. Farnell contacted Earth. The answer came fast. Confirmed Nullborn contact. Protocol containment impossible. Evacuate. Zorek read the second line. Only one option. Invoke the wild core. He blinked. Wild core. Farnell looked down at Nia. She's the key. Nia placed her hand on the ground. The blade was gone, but its echo remained. The earth under her feet glowed softly. Not red, not blue, but green. Pure, wild energy. The jungle's last defense. It moved into her. Not power, but permission. The jungle was giving her full control. The apex fell, hit hard by a Nullborn blast. For the first time, it bled, not blood. Not metal, just light, faint, fading. The Nullborn surrounded it, ready to end the ancient guardian. But then they paused, because Nia stepped into the clearing, alone. No armor, no weapon, just eyes locked on theirs. And the ground pulsed beneath her feet. The jungle behind her shifted. Trees bent, animals gathered, even the wind changed direction. She raised her hand, and the vines answered. They rose like spears, wrapped around the Nullborn, held them still. For the first time, the Nullborn stopped walking. Nia walked past them, toward the apex. It looked up at her, and for just a second, it bowed again. Nia whispered, "Not yet, get up." And it did. Farnell's voice came over the comms. "Earth Command says we have one chance to push them back." Zorek asked, "How?" She looked at the forest, at full jungle strength. "We give it a voice." The jungle roared, not like an animal, but like an army, and at its center stood Nia. The jungle stood still. The trees held their breath. Even the wind froze. At the center of it all, Nia walked forward, calm, silent, alive with power. The Nullborn circled her, tall and cold, draining life with every step, but for the first time, they hesitated because the ground under Nia's feet didn't die. It glowed. Lyran could barely see her now. Green light flowed through her skin like rivers. The forest had given her something no weapon could. A voice. Not just hers, but the voice of every leaf, every root, every breath of Earth's old wild heart, the voice of life itself. The apex stood beside her now. It was weak, limping, shaking, but it didn't fall because it wasn't alone. Nia placed a hand on its shoulder, and the light passed into it, not to heal, to share. The apex roared, the jungle echoed, and then Nia finally spoke. Only one word, but the jungle repeated it. So did the wind. So did the birds, the beasts, and even the trees. "Leave." The Nullborn stepped back, not in fear, but in confusion. They had never heard a voice inside their own minds, never heard anything but silence, but now they heard. Life, pure, loud, unshaken, and it hurt them. They twitched. Cracks appeared in their smooth gray skin. Not physical, deeper, like their very shape was being unwritten. Farnell and Zorek watched from the ridge. "What's happening to them?" Zorek asked. Farnell answered with wide eyes. "She's not destroying them. She's unmaking them." The Nullborn tried to fight back. One raised its hand to strike. But the moment it did, roots burst from the ground and pulled it down. Its body turned dark. Then it crumbled into dust. Another ran. The jungle opened a pit beneath it. Gone. The rest froze. Then, without warning, they turned and ran. Not marched. Ran like prey. The students who had survived, now watching from above, stood in silence. They had mocked her, laughed at her earthborn strength. Now they couldn't even speak, because what they saw was not a girl, not a warrior, not a weapon, but a force. A reminder that Earth was not weak, that Earth didn't build conquerors, it built balance. And, when pushed too far, balance pushed back. The last Nullborn reached its ship. It tried to rise, but the roots reached higher, gripped the hull, pulled it down like it weighed nothing. The ship cracked open like an egg. Light poured from inside, but Naya raised her hand, and the light vanished, absorbed by the forest. Gone. Silence returned, but not the same silence as before. This one was warm, peaceful. The jungle had won, not by teeth, not by weapons, but by choosing the right voice. The apex collapsed, not dead, just done. Its duty finished. Nia kneeled beside it. She touched its chest. No circuits, no armor, just old stone. It faded into the ground like it had never existed, but the earth hummed gently like it was still watching, still listening. Farnell finally spoke over the comms. Earth Command confirms. The Nullborn are retreating across the rim. Zorek leaned forward. Because of her? No, Farnell said softly. Because of what she spoke for. Later in the clearing, the students approached Naya. Quiet. Careful. No jokes, no arrogance, just respect. One of them stepped forward, a thin alien with silver eyes. He bowed. You didn't fight for power. You fought to protect. Nia nodded. Earth taught me that. Another asked, will the jungle let us stay? Nia looked around. The leaves rustled gently. The wind passed like a soft breath. She smiled. That depends how you live. The story spread not just across the students, but across the stars, that Earth had no kings, no empires, but when life was in danger, it sent someone who listened. And when she finally spoke, even the darkest things in the galaxy ran.